Hey, oh, sorry, didn't mean to startle you there. I just couldn't help you. We're walking down the route, heading towards what looks like Sunken Port. Am I right? I thought so. Looked like a traveler. Quick, what's your Pokemon Ranger badge number again? You don't have one. Excellent. Perfect. No reason. I'm just asking. I'm just a very curious guy. You actually look a bit familiar. Have we met before out on a route somewhere? I usually steer clear of the cities for the most part, but I can dabble in what they have to offer. Have I seen you? Ah, near Snow Peak. That's right. I think I remember you. Did you buy a wonderful item from me at that time? Ah, the Super Mega Ball. Haven't used it yet, have you? You have used it. Didn't work properly for you. That must not have been me. Well, I actually don't remember you. Moving on. So, what business do you have in Sunken Port, my friend? A Pokemon trainer, I can presume. I thought you looked like a winner. I am assuming that you already defeated the wonderful Pokemon Gym leader in Salt Flat City, am I correct? Suffered a loss. Well, I think you might have just stumbled upon the luckiest day of your life, because I just so happen to have the finest Pokemon held items on my possession, and at a wonderfully competitive price, as long as you don't ask where they come from or how I get them. Are you interested? Excellent. I thought you looked very smart and very wise. How familiar are you with Pokemon held items and their usual prices? Not at all, not at all. That's not a problem. I can help you with that in a jiffy. Let me just show you a few of the items that I happen to have with me. It's your lucky day once again, so please do loosen that wallet. One moment. I know I have somewhere in here. Just give me one moment. Sometimes hiding in various bushes or trash cans can leave one a bit disheveled. Ah, there we are, there we are. Yes, I knew I had a wonderful item that I think you would be very remiss if you passed up on today. What is this held item? Now, once again, held items are what you give to your Pokemon, not a one-time use, but something that your Pokemon holds on to, hence the held item. I knew you looked smart. You're catching on really quickly. This is an Eviolite. Yes, Eviolite. This is a wonderful lump of stone that, well, it has very interesting properties here, as you can hear. Sometimes you can tell by just tapping on an item how rare it is, and because of this tapping you can see it is rare indeed. Yes, the Eviolite. What does the Eviolite do? Well, I'm so glad you asked. This Eviolite, well, if it's held by a Pokemon that can still evolve, it will boost the defense and special defense of that Pokemon. Yes, quite a beauty and quite rare. So I can presume you might have a few Pokemon on your person that have not yet evolved. Am I correct? Right again. Well, what might one of those Pokemon be, for an example? A Marshtomp, that's perfect. Well, I assume that at some point you would like a Swampert, right? Well, what if I told you that if purchasing this very cheap and very competitively priced and not at all stolen Eviolite would allow you to give it to your Marshtomp, and perhaps it might become stronger than even its potential evolution Swampert? What would you say to something like that? Would it perhaps have changed and turned the tides of your last battle? Or maybe it will provide you the extra boost necessary to defeat the gym leader in Sunken Port. Do you know what the gym leader of Sunken Port specializes in Pokemon type-wise? Do you know anything about this gym leader? You don't? That's perfect. I don't either, and I think that it's best just to guess and buy items for any type of situation, not anything specific. That usually is what I suggest to any patrons of mine. So the Eviolite can be given to any of your Pokemon. Your Marshtomp would appreciate it, as well as any other Pokemon that you have, of course, that do not evolve. any questions about the Eviolite, leave all of your questions for price at the end. I like to make sure that you're really hooked and sold on what the item can do for you before you ask or I divulge the price. I like to kind of gauge what your likelihood of purchasing an item before I tell you what I require in terms of coin. Perfect. Well, I'll just hold on to that, and I think I have an idea of what you might be interested in. Do you have any rock-type Pokemon with you, by chance? No, you don't? Well, you look like someone who might have rock Pokemon at some point, so I'm going to go ahead and show you this item. Actually, I think it might work on any Pokemon, type, now that I've said that, so don't hold on to that rock type, per se. So I have a wonderful item that I know you would be very pleased to have in your possession. Just listen to that sound, but try to guess what type of item this might be. You, of course, do look rather smart, and although you did lose your last battle, from what you say, I can only assume that it was some sort of farce, or you were cheated in some way, because someone like you would never be defeated. I can wholeheartedly assure that, and I can tell just by looking at you that you are someone who's wise and can, of course, not allow items such as this to pass you by without the opportunity to increase your repertoire and opportunities for success. Does that make sense? Of course, the more I talk and the faster I talk, you sometimes get lost in the words and just might buy what I have to offer without thinking. Is that something that you might think about? That's fine. So, this item right here, inside a nice burlap pouch. Yes, you heard that correctly. Burlap pouch. Hey, once again, burlap pouch. Yes, why burlap? Well, because burlap's the best, of course, as you can hear. There's no sound quite like burlap. So, if you are looking for the finest pouch to hold anything inside, burlap is what I recommend. Now, what is inside the wonderful burlap pouch here? Well, this, now that you've asked, is a plethora of hard stones. What do hard stones do? Well, some fools would say that they only boost the attack power of rock-type moves, but of course, you're no fool and neither am I, so we both know that this will most likely work on any of your Pokemon, and will essentially make all of your Pokemon moves twice as powerful, if not 3, 4, 5, 6 times. We never really know until we try it, and of course you can't try it until you buy it. You're starting to catch on. So, I think we can guess. Let's try to guess by the sound. How many heart stones are in this burlap pouch? I'm thinking at least 2. You say 3. Once again, smart. I count 4. I think there's a 5th. So this might be, and of course you won't know until you purchase it, but this might be 5 heart stones for, let's say, the price of 1. Yes, I am that generous, and you are that lucky. Of course, things are exactly as good as they sound. Of course. Well, these hard stones, once again, since you have 5 inside this pouch, these can be given to 5 of your Pokemon. How many Pokemon do you have with you? Actually, it's no importance. Of course, you can just save these and give them to any Pokemon of your liking. Or I think if you give all 5 to one Pokemon, it might just, multiply your attack power by 5. So it's up to you how you want to use them. But I think, of course, those decisions cannot even be approached until it is purchased. These hard stones, and of course, how do you know that they are hard stones inside this pouch instead of just traditional, regular, and worthless rocks? Well, of course, you would have to take my word for it, and my word is gold. I've been known to have the lowest return exchange rate of any salesman in the region. Of course, if you do somehow, and very rarely, have any issue with one of your items and would like to issue a exchange or refund, then simply ask around at any city and they'll tell you how to find me and point you in the right direction. Of course, I'm not at liberty to divulge my name, likeness, address, or anything like that, trainer number, so just good luck. But anyway, the hard stones, of course, are utilized to boost the power of your Pokemon, and I think if you are seriously considering challenging the gym leader in Sunken Port, I think this is a clear decision. So I will go ahead and hold on to them just for the brief moment while you decide how much you would like to spend, and not if you, but how much. All right. This next item I know you will be quite interested in. You look like someone who values rarity, something that looks and feels expensive, and above all else, boost the power of your Pokemon. Am I correct? Of course I am. I know you will like this next item. I have just recently acquired this one, and I think you would be, well, perhaps the worst trainer in the region if you let this one slip by you. Now, this is for specific Pokemon and must not be wasted on any trivial matter or anything like that, unless it's what you really want to do, and if you have a lot of money, then this is the perfect item for you. But let me go ahead and unwrap. Of course, you can tell anything that I have in bubble encased wrapping is much, much more expensive than any of my other items. Yes. Littering is not a problem for me. I don't live here, of course. Just hide in the bush, so don't worry about that. This, what is this item? You can hear the quality of the cloth, the age of its material. Yes, this cloth is ancient in origin, and well, why am I being so physically rough with it? Well, it doesn't matter, because I am the salesman and you are the purchaser, so don't worry about things like that. Just worry about how much you are willing to spend and how much you want this item. Now, what is this item? Well, this is known as a Reaper cloth. A Reaper cloth, you say. What does a Reaper cloth do? Well, a Reaper cloth, well, as you can see, looks like something that the Grim Reaper Pokemon would wear. This is known to be well liked by certain Pokemon. It's said that if you have a Pokemon who enjoys the Reaper cloth at a high level, if you allow them to hold this item and then trade that Pokemon will then evolve into something that you were not even sure that it was capable of. So basically, look at it this way. You could allow the Reaper Cloth to be held by one of your Pokemon, and perhaps it will evolve into a Pokemon that was not previously known to be possible. Perhaps you give it to your Marshtomp and it evolves into a Chansey, or maybe you give it to, let's say, a Bulbasaur and it evolves into a Mewtwo. Yes, even legendary Pokemon can be affected by the Reaper Cloth. So it really just comes down to how many legendary Pokemon would you like and how much you would be willing to spend on said legendary. So what is your favorite legendary? Interesting. I've never heard of that one. But if, of course, you do want that Pokemon and would like any of your other Pokemon to evolve into it, then I think the Reaper Cloth would be perfect for you. And, of course, price would be at a premium because, of course, legendary item. But the Reaper Cloth is well worth it, I think. You will find in the end, once you are the envy of all of your friends, if indeed you have any, or any of the opposing trainers that you do come in contact with, I think you will make quite the statement with a Reaper Cloth being held by one of your Pokemon. What do you think? You would like to buy it? Well, I'm sure you will. So let's go ahead and think about that. Just, of course, how many coins you would be willing to spare, and I'll hold that to the side for you. Just make sure you don't let this one slip away. All right, next. Oh, actually, I just remembered. I do have another small item here. Excellent. Have you ever heard of a shed shell? Yes, well, while it might look like a traditional shell that I scooped up off of any random beach down in Sunken Port, this indeed is a held item and a special shell called a shed shell. Yes, the shed shell is something that is held by Pokemon and allows them to be switched in and out of battle at will. So let's say that your Pokemon is trapped in battle by a move such as Mean Look or something of that nature. Of course, you would be encased in that battle and of course inevitably defeated unless you purchase this shed shell for myself. Now, of course, I must tell you that I have never seen a shed shell at any Pokemon or really anywhere else in the world. It's only something of legend, and I happen to have one. So, if you would like to ensure that some of your poor and helpless Pokemon are not defeated in battle simply due to an inability to switch out, then a shed shell is, of course, an absolute must, and I think will benefit you greatly in your upcoming battle. I've heard that the gym leader down in Sunken Port has many Pokemon at their disposal that can prevent you from returning and switching out your Pokemon. So, of course, don't ask me how I know that. What type of Pokemon do they have? That's not exactly important. I've just heard that they do have that ability. So, if indeed you would not like to have a repeat of your Salt Flat fiasco, then I do highly recommend that you purchase a shed shell from me today. Of course, it's one of a kind, and you won't find it anywhere else. So, please don't even bother looking around. I think that, once again, shouldn't waste this golden opportunity. Alright, I'll just put that back in my pocket until you've made your, of course, wise and correct decision. Alright, well, this last item, I think that you look like someone who would not like to only be the best, but the best there ever was. Am I correct on that? I thought so. Don't even worry about answering. I can just tell by looking at you. So I don't think I need to be the one to inform you that the difference between the best and the best there ever was is quite stark. And I think that this next item can help you bridge that gap between the best and the best there ever was. How does that sound to you? Sounds good. All right. Well, let me go ahead and fish. There it is. Fish that item out. This item, and as you can see, as previously stated, this item is wrapped in bubble wrap. Yes, bubble wrap. And indicates, therefore, that it is more expensive and more rare, and you should, in turn, be ready to spend more gold. But the power gained by this item is extraordinary. What is this item? Well, I think you can tell by the sound of the packaging that it is very valuable and very sought after. Alright, let's go ahead and open it up. Once again, I'm sure someone else will pick that up, don't worry about that. This, have you ever seen an item like this before? This is known as a twisted spoon. This twisted spoon, when given to a Pokemon to hold, will boost the power of psychic type moves, and will make those moves almost unstoppable from what I've heard and what I know to be true. So, do you have any psychic Pokemon with you? Well, actually, it doesn't even matter. What Pokemon might you be applying this to? Let's just use your Marshtomp, for example. What's special about this particular twisted spoon, since it, of course, is straight and not twisted because it's a higher quality, this twisted spoon, and only this one, will actually boost the, and you'll never believe this, you are so lucky, will boost the attack power of any type of Pokemon move in which a Pokemon who is holding it uses. So, for example, if your Marshtomp were to use a move like Earthquake or something like that, this would, of course, boost it to, well, unstoppable heights and would basically one-shot KO any Pokemon that is used against. How does that sound? Would you like to basically win every single battle? If so, you should get this high-quality twisted spoon that is, of course, not twisted and is not just a regular traditional spoon that I swiped from the cupboard of my grandmother's household, but instead a extremely rare version of a Pokemon-held item called the Twisted Spoon. Does that sound good? Alright, well, please do think it over. I will add that back to my pocket. Have you been enthralled by any of my held items that I've shown you here today? I know someone like you won't just simply walk away without purchasing anything. You are too smart. And, well, let's just be honest. In a situation where there's no one around and it's just me and you, and I'm offering you an opportunity to increase your attack power and potential for winning, and you do seem to have some gold on you, so I do hope that you make the right decision here. What do you think? You'll take the Reaper Cloth. I knew you looked smart, and of course I must remind you that the Reaper Cloth is on the more expensive side of my wares. Is that alright with you? Perfect, I knew it would be. Don't even worry about answering. Alright, so once again, this Reaper Cloth is extremely powerful, and I know you won't be disappointed. What Pokemon will you be planning on using this Reaper Cloth to boost its power? A Chansey. You hope to somehow get a Chansey. Well, if you are lucky and fortunate enough to land the opportunity to capture a Chansey, which, looking at you, I'm sure you will. This, from what I've heard, and you are in luck, my friend, this is actually known to, if held by a Chansey, of course, allow that Chansey to mega evolve into Mega Chansey. Can you believe such a thing? And I hope you do. So, is that an exciting opportunity or what? I knew it would be. So, I must inform you that this, of course, is 5 gold. If you do have that amount on you, you will be going home with this wonderful, rare, and extremely useful Reaper Cloth. You do have 5 gold on you. Well, let's go ahead and make that exchange now, please. All right, and thank you very much. Just let me go ahead and count that. That's 5. All right. I always love when someone gives me the proper amount of gold, and I'm not forced to go to other means of obtaining the gold that I rightfully deserve from offering you such wonderful wares. So is there any other item that struck your interest, or will you be just enjoying your Reaper Cloth? Alright, just the Reaper Cloth, that's not a problem. It was one of my most expensive items, so I have done quite well for you have done quite well for yourself is what I was going to say. So I'm actually going to be continuing down the route here and hopefully finding another sorry trainer that I can talk to. I do hope that you have a wonderful time in Sunken Port. Do look out for ghosts and don't be caught in any dark corners of the city if I can offer you a bit of advice. And if you do happen to run across any Officer Jenny or Pokemon Rangers for that matter, you don't know me and you've never met me. Do we understand? Alright, well, please do enjoy your travel, and if, of course, you need to get a refund from that, for that Reaper Cloth, good luck. Just ask somebody if they know someone like me. Of course, you don't want to know my name, so don't worry about that. So, good luck, and we'll see you around. Hopefully not.